Hi everyone, Miss Andronica is here, and today we are looking at integer powers of 10. Alright, you already know this pattern, okay? So we've got 10 times 10 times 10 equals 1,000 equals 10 to the power of 3. So then 100 is 10 to the power of 2, 10 is 10 to the power of 1, and 1 is 10 to the power of 0. So see how we keep going down in one power, in one number on that power, and we're going down in, essentially we're dividing by 10 each time we're going down here and down here, every single time, okay? It can still continue past 10 to the power of 0. So just having a look at this, you've got, if we divide 1 by 10, it's 1/10, which looks like a decimal like this, and a power or an index form like that. We go into the negative ones. 1/100th, okay, the expanded version of, 1 divided by 10 divided by 10 twice. 100th, 100th as a decimal, and then 10 to the power of negative 2. And then we've got 1,000th in the fraction and decimal form, and to negative 3. So they are the three forms. You've got the fraction form, decimal form, index form in that order, and you need to be able to convert between them. So I should be able to say, 100th as a fraction, as a decimal, in index form as a base of 10, for example. So just be aware of that and practice going between them. When you start multiplying, and dividing, when multiplying by a number between 0 and 1, your answer will be smaller than what you started with. Now that's a very strange thing to think about, because when you're multiplying, you imagine that the number gets bigger. In fact, when you are multiplying by between 0 and 1, so anything less than 1, it ends up being smaller. So I'm talking about all of these numbers here. Any of these. So any negative integer will mean that actually the number, if you're multiplying by the negative, it does the opposite to what you think, then the number gets smaller, like I've mentioned there. That's the same effect when dividing by a number less than 1. Your answer ends up bigger than what you started with. So whenever you are multiplying and dividing by anything less than 1, it does the opposite. The answer does the opposite to what you would normally expect when you're multiplying and dividing. So you need to be very aware that if you are using any sort of negative index form, index numbers, any sort of decimal, any sort of fraction, when multiplying and dividing, it's going to end up doing the opposite, okay? So try these as an example. Pause the video and calculate these now. Okay, so when you calculate these, you should have gotten an answer of 8 and an answer of 50. Okay, straight away, what can you see? You should be able to see when I'm multiplying, the number 8 is less than what I started with, which was 20. And when I divide by less than 1, the number ends up bigger than what I started with, which was 20. Okay, so it follows that pattern. You can try it with any numbers and you'll see that that is the case. Please be aware that you need to always ask yourself, how reasonable is your answer? So always ask yourself how reasonable, so that you can estimate what your answer should be, certainly bigger or smaller than what you started with. Okay guys, have a practice. Ciao for now.